I already have it open. Welcome, everyone. We are here with Aesthetic Impact's monthly webinar discussion of remote viewing target practices. And I sort of fumbled that a little bit, but what I was trying to say is we have viewers from all methodologies here, people who are studying at home, people who are official CRV students, people from other trainers, all sending in sessions. So you'll see a variety of sessions tonight. Lynn Buchanan is with us, former member of the U.S. Military Intelligence Unit Stargate. And Lynn is currently on sabbatical from teaching remote viewing, but he has a huge website that is a wonderful resource for anyone who is wanting to learn anything from terminology to watching people all over the world in various scenarios in his target pool. And in that target pool, you can remote view events, activities, people, places, locations. And that's what remote viewing was meant to do, was to give sensory information through the subconscious mind to the conscious mind, and they work together as a mental martial art. So that's just a little introductory blurb about remote viewing, but you will be seeing several sessions tonight. I'm going to switch over to sharing my desktop. And thanks to all of you who are here tonight, all of you students, and everyone who sent in a session so that we could talk about it and learn from each other. And thanks, Lynn, for being here with us. And switching over here. There we go. And here is our target for this week. I'll be bringing everybody's screen up here for a moment where I can see your names and everything in just a minute. But Lynn, if you would like to go ahead and tell us about this month's target. Lynn, I chose these in the end of December or January. Lynn gave me a whole list, and I sent back, I choose these 12, one for each month. So this target was chosen a long time ago, months ago. So this is the first it's been made public. Anyone who sent in a session for this target did not have access to this feedback until right now. He put it up on the website earlier today, but unless you were stalking his website, but no one sent in sessions today. So there could be no cheating, no leaking. If they did well on this target or not, we'll find out shortly. But Lynn spends hours making these up. They're for all level of viewer and training. And Lynn, if you could please explain this target, and I'll scroll for you. Excuse me.
Okay, yeah, one of the things I do on our targets, if you're going to stay a basic person forever in this field, pictures of wrenches and cars and vases sitting on shelves are good targets. But if you really want to advance and do something with this ability, you need targets that have action, that have information, that have feedback. And so in these targets, I try to put feedback for every level of remote viewer that there is. And so this one for this week, just a minute.
Just a minute, me or somebody at your house?
Okay. You can go ahead and print now if you want.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry.
That's all
right. This target is one that Teresa selected. She has very good reasons for selecting these because they train you in the different, and they give you experience in the different things that you'll run into in remote viewing. This one is a temple in China that is built up high on the side of a cliff, and the temple, the oldest part of the temple is around 1,500 years old. According to legend, a monk walked up this little embankment and decided that this was where he wanted to build a temple. Wild and crazy monks over there, But the temple has grown over the 1500 years. It has been used by 3 different religions. It's in this river valley that has a dam not too far from here, and it was built here to keep it out of sunshine because it's on the north face, and to keep it out of the bad weather, and to keep it from flooding, because even though the dam is now there, in the past, the water never got up above that point. In this picture here, you can see the dam in the background, and you can see that it gets so cold there in the winter that even the little waterfalls have frozen in place. So this temple is still used. However, it has become one of the, and there in that picture you can see the person, so you can see the relative size of everything. But this temple has also become a local tourist spot where you can go climb these rickety steps and walk along these very narrow walkways that are just supported by bent poles and bent tree trunks. And this temple is now a national treasure for the Chinese government. Inside it has, I think, 40 rooms. It has the statuary and all that of the 3 different religions that have used this temple over all of the centuries. And at the bottom of this, we have a feedback for dowsers. Now, if you come up to our webpage, you'll find that one of the things on these targets is a dowsing map that's not in the feedback. But the dowsing map lets you actually try your hand at dowsing and see how well you do. You have to douse on the computer screen unless you print it out. But here's the feedback for the dowsers. Excuse me. And as you can see from all the titles, this is in China. And so in this case, I didn't erase all of the city names. And so when you first brought it up, you would see that it was in China. That's a little bit of pollution. However, China is such a varied country with so many different things that it still didn't tell you really anything about the target. But this is called the Hanging Temple because it just barely hangs off the side of this cliff. And, from everything I've seen in the videos and all of the stuff I looked at doing the research for this, I think the main word here is rickety. And tourists go up here by the hundreds, and there will be hundreds of people up here walking those walkways, and I'm really surprised the thing doesn't just fall off the side of the mountain. The side of the cliff. But anyway, it has become one of the main tourist attractions of the area, but it is still a working temple for, I think the present one is Shinto, or Buddhist, I'm sorry, Buddhist. So it's been for Confucianism, Taoism, and Buddhism have all used this temple. And like I say, the oldest part of it is around 1,500 years old. And there are places where they have dug back into the mountain, not only to anchor this temple, but also for rooms back in there that, you know, that are worship places and so forth. So that was your target. And this one has lots of different colors. It has specific shapes that you could get. And this is one of the ways I select these targets, is not only for interest, but also for education, so that you can see, so that you can learn things as you remote view and see the variety of potential targets that there are in the world. You don't have to satisfy yourself with a, you know, a picture of a pair of shoes from Walmart or something. So anyway, I try to find interesting targets that have specific shapes, that have specific sizes, that have specific emotions tied to them, like the ricketiness of walking through these little passageways. I try to pick good targets for you. They're going to be interesting and educational. So that's what this one is.
Thanks for all your hard work.
I try.
You do,
I hate boring targets.
you do more than try. You succeed. All right. I'm going to just grab a couple of these images because it'll be pretty quick to look at them. And this is from Teresa Frisch. And I'm pretty sure I know her like from the groups, but I don't think she's, well, from the sketch, obviously she's not your student. This was her entire sketch, her entire session, and I grabbed it not intentionally, but look what she got. The dam. She puts a question mark on here, is it a dam? And draws a dam with water coming through the spillways.
This is not really unusual because many of these sites will have attractors that are away from the target and not really related to it. And
at the location.
Many remote viewers fall prey to the attractors.
But this was part of the feedback. The dam was part of the feedback. And so it's at the location. And that's, I don't know, there are also things that people fixate on, like motion as well. And so, you know, that water would be making noise. I think the picture you had, it was frozen. But actually, possibly that, well, it says rushing water, strong movement, daytime.
Yeah, in the summertime, the dam, of course, lets water go. And if you look very closely, those little waterfalls at the bottom of the dam, I think there are, I think they're caused from outlets somewhere near the bottom of the dam.
Right. I think so too. Let me see where we would bring that up. Which one of my icons I choose. And you're right, they're frozen. And I can probably enlarge this somehow if I'm really smart, but I wouldn't bet on it. No,
I think this picture probably doesn't show it, but just a Google search would probably let anybody get a closer view of the dam rather than the temple.
Right, because it does look totally frozen. I don't think it's moving. But so there is our first session sent in by Patricia. So I'm going to take that down. And then another session sent in. And gosh, it was on my email. Here it is. Carmen Grunwald. And it was just the one sketch of an electric tower. And I don't remember if your feedback had anything to do with electric towers in there anyplace. I know dams produce electricity, but we didn't talk about that. I don't know if it's in your feedback, but also I wanted to point out that this is a sketch. She's labeled it with a noun, which is a conscious mind activity, and you will get trapped in that noun box. Now, Lynn, you know this target better than any of us at this point. Is there anything there that looks like this shape that you can recall?
Yeah, the temple. The temple is just on stilts and all that. But I think this shows exactly, as a perfect example of what you are talking about. A person will get the impression of, the stilts and everything else, and just the framework. And the minute they try to identify it,
they're lost.
That's the end. Yeah. The rule in remote viewing is you describe, you don't identify, because boxes are nouns are boxes that things hide in.
Look at this right here. Can you see my cursor?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right there, that big prominent point. And
that's a possibility that she zoomed in on something like that.
And let me throw in for the new folks, it's not you and I's job. How do you say that? Your and mine? It's not our job as analysts to say for sure that that's what she got. All we can say is it looks like, it could be, but this is her session. And so anyway, back to you.
It's a possibility.
Possibility.
It's a possibility, but it shows very clearly how the minute you put a name to something, it locks you in. And if this session had been carried on, I'm sure we would have power plants and generators, which may be there in the dam. I don't know, but it's possible that the framework of this rickety old temple is what she or he was perceiving right off, and then pop, there's your trying to name it, and at that point, really the session's over because you're trapped. A noun is a box that things hide in, and you jump into that noun, and the lid slams shut, and you're trapped.
And also, the more attention you pay to it, the more power it has.
That's right.
And so you need to, those nouns, those stray cats, those AOLs, declare them, as Ingo said. For people don't get that, declare. Recognize it, and as another word. Write it off to the right-hand side of your session when you're a new student. In basic, intermediate students, they know they have columns. They don't usually have to hear this lecture again and again. Write it down off to the right. Do not feed into it. Do not probe it. Do not hang out. Do not sketch it. Do not give it more power. Declare it.
The rule is never feed a stray cat.
Yep. And the more attention you pay to it, the more power it's going to have. You need to declare it, get back over on the left-hand side of the page, and keep on going in your session. Okay, so much for that little mini lecture there. Okay, let's see who else we have. Jen's not here, so we'll take the folks who are here first. Now, there's a lot of, Alicia, I want you to know that I don't usually put sessions up that I've made comments on, but she sent this in early, and she's only been doing sessions for maybe 2 months. And I explained that rather than, you need feedback. And so don't make the webinar target at the end of the month, your first target that you do this month, because I can't show you the feedback. So she's still learning structure, and we're doing it over distance, and she's better already because she's sent in some sessions. We've shown her proper structure, and she knows what she's done wrong. But this is what your session looks like when I make comments on it. So anyway, we'll just kind of go down through this and ignore her structure. She's learning, and she's already making improvements. But let me see. Let me enlarge this. And she's learning to write summaries and the whole bit. But she's getting a lot. I was trying to scroll this, and I've got too much stuff on this screen. Down to her summary. And she's learning to write summaries, but she has It felt or seemed to be some sort of safari or expedition, as though biologic human were leaving as small footprint as possible. Sense of large animal danger unseen but watched for, a lot of smaller animals. Weather seemed to impact the site and project. Regarding odd to me start, her session start. Feels like help is needed, healing or assistance recovery. Approach to project seems to have triggered. Heavy sense of lives need help. Feel strongly to keep up with my approach to session for sake of odd start. I am sorry, seems very disjointed, and I'm very unsure if it has to do with the target. So, Lynn?
This thing is 75 meters up into the air on the side of the cliff.
For her, she thinks she's on a safari, which makes you think of as desert instead of a China mountain.
Yeah, well, there again, the noun, you know.
Right. How well do you think this summary, if you take the nouns out of the summary and describe the activity?
Oh, yeah. Climbing up to this thing and climbing up those stairs, which are not regulation stairs. I also had close-up pictures of the stairs, and those stairs would kill me. I mean, they're the wrong size, you know, tiny steps up and everything. But
and your sketch.
But yeah, the only way to get to this is to walk across that bridge that goes across the river, and then climb up the 25 meters, 25 or 75 meters, I forget how much.
Okay.
But it's odd-shaped steps and narrow, and to get up to the temple, no railing. So you're walking up these narrow steps on the side of a cliff with no railing. And yeah, probably about 10 feet up, I would say, help. No, 10 feet up, I would turn around and go back down.
Yeah, in her sketch, she has the water. She has some two pointed things that her nouns are getting her into trouble. She's tried to name what's going on instead of describe it, but they're peaked, just like the other sketch that we saw. And she's already, to her, they remind her of hut or tents.
Yeah.
And but she's doing a very good job of trying to actually sketch what's going on. And then her actual perceptions, I mean, she's got movement, swaying, blowing, and you can see it in the plants and the water. She's got levels are changing. It's murky and fresh and clear and dammed. And man-made is hut, tent-like, not large or small. It's temporary, like a lean-to. It reminded her of a lean-to. She's stray-catted that. And so, and she's got hanging moss. I mean, and there's a lot of nouns here. She's, like I said, she's only done just a very few sessions. So, and she's learning left side from right side and vice versa and all that. So,
by the
anyway.
way, I saw at the very top something about dogs, and here she has animals.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime you're doing a temple, whether it be Japanese, Chinese, Mongolian, whatever,
mm-hmm.
you're going to get animals, and I usually get cats, and a lot of people, most people, I think, get dogs because of these statuaries there of the different lions or dragons and things like that. And they're almost always there in Oriental temples. And they're a feature that just pops out at every remote viewer. I don't think I've ever seen a temple target that didn't have references to all these different animals.
Leisha, if you want to, I'll take your mic off mute. It's really hard for beginning remote viewers to see anything that they got. They just think their work is hog slop. You know, they didn't get anything. They didn't even make site contact. They don't want to turn it in. They don't want to show it in public. something like this in the beginning, it's very hard to get a student to appreciate that they got anything at this target. She didn't get temple. She didn't sketch a temple. She thought they were on an expedition, which actually it's kind of like an expedition with all this hiking and stuff.
Yeah, it is for tourists, yeah.
In concept. So you have to remember concepts. Go ahead.
It seemed more like a jungle hike rather than I guess safari was a bad word. I saw a lot of greenery, but my drawing is atrocious. So I didn't
at least it's a drawing. Draw away,
I'm
please.
working on it.
Practice, please.
And we're still in this move, and for me it's been a longer move because of health issues. But doing this allows me to see what everybody else does in like a class, as close to a classroom setting as I'm going to get.
That's okay.
And
we'll be in a nice bigger apartment and settled in soon. So.
Yeah, I'm getting closer.
Looks to me like there might be some shrubs and greenery here, ma'am. In this picture right here.
Yeah, the thing is that sketch had the peaked roofs, and then AOL does a tent. It had the river running through it. It had what looked like to me a high area on one side, if I'm remembering it right.
I'm trying to get there. There we go.
Yeah. Oh, trees over on one side, yeah. And people. So there are some elements of the target in here. Now, one of the tricks of remote viewing is when you get an element like this, like the huts and the tents, okay? You could go, or the trees, or the flowing river, or whatever. Any part of the sketch, you could go back and take your mind off of the fact that the whole place is a target and zero in and say, I'm going to make that hut or that tent, what I'm calling a hut or a tent, I'm going to make that my target. And then within your session, do a little mini session on it. And all of a sudden, you'll start finding things about it that you say, well, wait a minute, maybe it's not a tent. And you know, the trees, okay, you've got this huge tree over here, and you can go to the tree, you can make that your target. And so by moving around the site and focusing in on the different things, the snakes, insects, wild animals, and all, the flowing waters, you can start getting details about the target. And when you do, what you'll find is that you'll find things that make you say, oh, wait a minute, then it can't be a snake, or it can't be, you know, that big a tree, or it can't be a canvas tent. And you'll find perceptions by focusing in on these that will actually let you clarify the entire target. I don't know if you're doing stage 4 or not yet. I don't think so, but
no, she's just starting.
Yeah, that's really what you do in stage 4 is once you get the overall target like you have here in the sketch, then you move into stage 4 and you just zero in on this and zero in on that and zero in. And as you do, you leave your mind open for perceptions. And now and then, in fact, pretty often, a perception will come in and you'll say, oh, wait a minute. Maybe what I thought this was, maybe it's something else. And as you do that, the entire site will build into a more accurate representation. So you're doing good here because you got the major gestalts of this. You got the peaks, you got the people, you got the flowing river, you got the trees, and so on. And this is not shabby at all. Listen, you didn't get elephants walking down, Hollywood and Vine. So
to bring up to her,
Happy.
think about where you are in the United States. And you described a place, you got perceptions that were appropriate for an activity in China. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it actually is. I think you can pat yourself on the back for this one.
Yeah, considering it's your, what, 4th, 5th session, maybe?
I think, yeah.
Maybe not even that. So
I will say I got a little happy labeling because I wasn't there when the last time, and I had my squiggly lines, and you said, I think this is water, and I'm listening going, yes, and so I got a little slap happy with the labeling.
Well, you're learning about nouns and labeling tonight, I think. So I think you'll probably not be doing so much of that now.
Yeah, and the one correct label on here, well, the two correct labels on here are flowing and wild. All of the other things on there are nouns. And like if you had touched the tent and given the color or the shape or something, and just tap the sketch right there and see what you get. And tap the tree, see what you get. Tap the water, and see what you get for that. Is it salty? Is it not salty? Is it cold? Is it warm? And things like that. And use your sketch to get descriptors rather than nouns. Shoot, you're going to be doing great. I mean, this has all the gestalts of the target right here.
Good going, ma'am, for a rookie.
Thank you.
Okay, moving right along. Let's see. Well, Jen's not here, and Bob is. This says 14 at the top, but it's his summary, which is taken out of his session and put up front for you. But Bob is here, and congratulations, Bob, who has, I sort of said, it's time. Your subconscious wants to learn more. You need a new, and my kids taught me this. My oldest, when he finished residency, and I said, he was at Cleveland Clinic, and he was applying to all these other places, and I said, why wouldn't you want to stay at Cleveland Clinic? It's such a great place. I mean, it's world renowned. And he said, well, I've learned from these people from 4 or 5 years. It's time for me to learn from someone else. And I thought, well, alrighty then. So I told Bob, I said, I think that you and I mean, we can keep this up. You can practice with me forever. But I know where you can go, where there's someone who can give you new exercises and new challenges. And after last month, when he did very well on that target, we had a little heart-to-heart talk, and I showed him some areas where he could improve. Because I told him, I said, the way you are right now, you're doing very well, but if you were to apply to some of the really advanced programs that Lynn used to have available through Colleen, you wouldn't be accepted. There are things you need to fine-tune. So congratulations, Bob. He has been talking with Lori Williams and is moving up to post-advanced courses, and he has done his time now. This man has viewed I don't know how many targets, has put in how many hours of practice, and has learned structure, has learned how to move around, has learned how to stay curious, keep his nose in the target, and he enjoys it. It's not work, it's fun. But anyway, so Bob will be speaking with us anytime now. He'll key up his mic. But again, congratulations. He's going to be studying with Lori Williams now, which always makes me nervous. I have a letter from Lori, very kind, said I did a great job, and he knew his structure, and she sort of grilled him a little bit, and he answered well, so she knew that he knew a lot of the things that she considered to be important coming into her programs. So anyway, because I felt after we had our little heart to heart, I just kind of sat here. And I thought, this makes me feel exactly like when I put my kids on the bus for the first time and sent them out into the world. You know, did I do a good job? What are they going to come in? What's going to happen to them out there? What are they going to come up against? Are they going to be good enough? And so anyway, felt like a parent pushing their kid on out of the nest. So
After some of the work that Bob has done, especially that one he did last month,
yeah,
my personal response was, I want this for my student. I want this person for my student.
yeah, he's done an amazing amount of work to learn this. So let me see. We just had a couple of more people come in. Let's see who we have here. Oh, Catherine made it, and Jay. Oh, Jay must have had to leave and come back. Okay, so Bob's summary. The target, his front loading. The target is man-made at a location. Describe the man-made and or the location. Describe its purposes and any people related to it. Create a timeline for the man-made at this location. So, let me scroll a little bit here. And for you new folks, the summary, you go up through your session and you decide what is conscious mind pollution. And they've heard this before. I'm repeating. What is conscious mind pollution? What is your imagination? And what are good perceptions about the part of the target that you are viewing that goes with the gestalt? And so those are the gold nuggets, the pearls. And there's no manual for that. Yes, you have a manual, but you're flying by the seat of your pants, learning to trust your subconscious and its communication to your conscious and working together. All right, so let's see. The target has aspects of land, water, biologicals, and a man-made. The land has aspects of a hard foundational support. It is natural in composition, flat, and evenly aligned. Yeah, it sure is. It is vastly wide open area with few tangibles. It is rugged in texture and was established many years ago. It is quiet and sound, yet has a concept of colonized. Its human biological population size is small and indigenous. Smells there are dry, natural, and airy. The air is clean smelling. It is located in the southern region in relation to its larger area. The geography around the perimeter of the land is rocky textured with mid-sized hilly areas and cavernous areas lower in elevation than its flat surface. The water has aspects of a creek-like structures. They are located at areas around the land's perimeter. They are narrow, winding in shape, and shallow in depth. They have a fresh taste to them. The biologicals have aspects of a human composition, both male and female in structure. They have an inhabiting ambiance in relation with the land. There is a concept of housing associated with them, with a meaning and purpose of living and coexisting. They are, at times, within the interior of the man-made. They are at different tiers, levels of the man-made at different times. Their races are Mexican, Spanish, and Indian. Their ethnicity is tribal in concept and community-based. They are indigenous to the land with concepts of maintaining tradition and heritage association with them. Their languages spoken are Spanish, tribal, some English, and nonverbal communication is present. The man-made has aspects of silvery and brown coloring on its exterior. It is positioned on the land's flat surface. It is accentuated with differing colors. It is hard in density. There is a shiny natural luminance related with it. It is towering in structure with a vertical alignment. Its purpose is for dwelling. It has an expressive ambiance. It is tall, over 3 stories, 45 feet in height. Its interior is tiered with different levels, which are flat and large. It has a solid cement-like structure to it with clay-like smells and structure. It is wide inside, molded in construction with hollow echoing sounds there. It is smooth textured in many areas. Its exterior construction is decorated symbolically. There are angular shapes associated with it. Its exterior texture is rough and gravelly. Its relationship with the bios is symbolic and artistic. Their emotions are proud. There is a housing-dwelling relationship between it and the bios. It is structurally durable, very old, and historical. Approximate beginning year of its construction was 1810 and ended in approximately 1850. It is approximately 165 years old. It was handcrafted with an artisan-like concept. There are specialized construction techniques related with it. There is a Mayan, Aztec, and Spanish ambiance related with it. Emotions pertaining to the biologicals who built it are ambitious and proud of their heritage. Other things which I find at the site are aspects of a strong generational relationship between the land, man-made, and biologicals, a strong group effort involving the biologicals who constructed the man-made, a simple done-by-hand construction technique used by the bios in constructing the man-made, a reserved private ambiance at the land with a reddish tone to the ground surface, a dry climate there with hot temps. And so I will scroll down through Bob's session usually, and I can't see how many pages with all this stuff going on my laptop right now, or my big PC rather. But his sessions usually push 20 pages because he's an advanced viewer using P6 tools and move commands and all kinds of stuff. So, and a matter of fact, a couple of you received one of his sessions, and I told him because it was difficult for you to grasp structure unless you actually saw it. So I shared one of his sessions, and it helped, I think, quite a bit as you sent me emails. Excuse me. But you can see, for you newer folks, he's moved. Phase 1 is where, and we're going to be learning that this weekend, at least Julia's not here, but Fernando is. But anyway, we're going to be talking about these things in depth and specifically phase 1 and then phase 2. And you see he only wrote phase 1 or phase 2 once. Each of his gestalts that he's working are in parentheses. And this is called, when you're here, winking about the site. And I wanted to address this briefly. You're going to hear it a million times this weekend. And for those of you sitting in to audit the class, winking about the site is like being in a dark room with a flashlight. And you shine it over here and you see a snapshot. You shine it over there and you see a snapshot. Okay, now take that to driving down the road. If you were driving down the road and you had your eyes on the back of a car, your hearing is still working. You hear the sirens of an ambulance off at the distance, so your hearing is working. Your peripheral vision, you see a child on the sidewalk with its mother and he's pulling away, and you're still watching so you don't rear end the back of this car. But all your senses are working. And so in a remote viewing situation in P2, when you are winking about the site, right here, his very first gestalt that he's working is the man-made. So he's probing that for perceptions. But he isn't necessarily getting just things that belong to a man-made. If there are people in that area, you know, he could be getting all kinds of people's sounds. There could be smells. If it's a man-made, like here was a good one. I told someone I stayed at a motel in my travels this summer, and as soon as you stepped outside, your senses were overtaken by the Panda Express right across the parking lot. I mean, the Chinese food, it smelled wonderful, but that's all you could smell. And so if you were in the neighborhood of something, there could be all kinds of smells associated, and just because you're probing the man-made gestalt, you're going to get impressions from that whole area because all of your senses are awake. I figure Lynn will jump in anytime now. 5, 4, 3.
Yeah, the thing in parentheses is always a cue. Thank you. You cue with the thing in parentheses, but like the biologicals, you're going to get human and so forth. But you're also going to get what they do, how they smell, and they walk into one of these rooms. One of the articles that I read about the Hanging Temple was that while you're out on the walkways, it's nice fresh air, and you walk into one of these rooms, and it's, you know, it's an 800-year-old room that really hasn't been dusted in all that time, and
Interesting.
the smells and the mustiness and all that can just be overwhelming. You step back out through the doorway and you're back into fresh air. And so you're going to be getting these things that are peripheral. When you go back to write your summary and you say, okay, there's man-made biologicals and land and all, excuse me, and you say, okay, the man-made is, you don't just go back in your session to where you were cueing with the man-made. You go all the way through your session because something about the biologicals is going to tell you, you know, that you perceive when you cued with biologicals is going to tell you about the man-made. Something about the land is going to tell you about the man-made. So you go back through everything and pull out what you still know or feel to be associated with the man-made. Then you say, okay, the land is, and you're writing your summary now. You say the land is. You don't just go back to where you cued with land. You go back through your whole session because everything you cued with is going to relate to that land in some way, and you can pull out information about that. So I've seen sessions that were 5 pages long with a 12-page summary because some of those things relate not only to the land, but to the biological, to the man-made, to the ambiance, to the history, to everything else. And you'll see that this is what Bob does a lot in his summary. He would go through and pull out information from everywhere in the session that has to do with the with each of the gestalts. I like this. I like the sketch here, the multi-tiered thing. That's neat.
And Leisha, I wanted to point out to you, as you can see, he's somebody I know. So your name sounds like my dog. She's like perking up over there. He's numbered, and then underneath his sketch, he comes down and starts putting perceptions that match the numbers up above. And he does it vertically, not horizontally. Moving right along.
And by the way, on that, the numbers deal with the places on the sketch. So if you could go back to that sketch, like up there at the top, he has 1 biologicals, and then he comes down and does 2 and 3 in land. If he had gone on and gone back to the biologicals and gotten more information about them, he would list that under 1, not under 4, okay? He wouldn't call it number 4 and talk about the biologicals. He'd go back to 1 because in all of this, we're training you to do this for the real world and to do it for seriously, you know, and so that would help an analyst to know where to go back to on the drawing to get the new perceptions, okay? That's confusing to a lot of people at first, but once you realize that the 1, 2, and 3 are more about the place on the drawing than they are about the gestalt, it becomes very easy to understand.
And here's phase 4. I'm not going to linger a whole lot. Most everybody that's here right now, Ron is not a beginner. And Bob, but most everybody in CRV that's here is not at this point yet. So, but they can flip through it and look at it. And I just wanted to get down and see. He's moving around in the columns in phase 4. And it's wonderful when you get to phase 4 because then you are really, really in control. The goal of phase 1 is to get to phase 2. The goal of phase 2 is to get to phase 3. You want to get to phase 3 so you can start to sketch get the AI and start to sketch. And then phase 4, if you thought you were having fun before, phase 4 is a hot time in the old town tonight.
Yeah, phase 4 lets you move around that sketch, and like we were saying before, let you move around that sketch, touch one point on that sketch and get information about that part of it, touch another point and get information about a part of that. And what you're seeing right here, right now, notice that all cues are written in parentheses so that you can tell the difference. You can tell that it's a cue and not a new perception.
And so a cue meaning he had that earlier in his session, and he wants to pull it down now, as we say, and try to get more information about it. Or maybe he just wants to give a command or a cue to ask, like he has a question here, age. So there's a man-made, that's his perception. Then the next perception is he wants to know information about how old the man-made is. So he wrote it in parentheses with a question mark, age, meaning he wants to know about the man-made. How old is it? What can you tell me? So coming down, just so you can get a look at a phase 6 tool. These are timelines where he's trying to find out information about age, like the year it was constructed, and narrowing it down. You start out big and end up little. And you get to play with it. You get to decide.
Yeah,
So,
this is a confusing target on that respect. The oldest part of the target is around 1,500 years old, but the last construction was actually done in 1990. And so this has been under construction for 1,500 years, at one point or another. So when you go to the age here and look for construction, this is a very confusing target on that one because there is no clear point of construction.
Okay. All right, Bob, would you like to make any comments or anything about this target? Here you go.
Hi.
Hi.
Hey, I've got my headset on for the first time. Is everything okay with the sound?
Loud and clear, 5 by 5.
Great. Yeah, I'm content with this. I think I made good sight contact, and the way it looked, it was like I described it okay. The only thing I noticed was I said that it was southern in relation to the larger area of the land. I think Lynn said it was in the northern area. That I may have been off on that.
No, I think it's on the north side of the cliff because I never could find this out, but I never could get a close-up of it. But everything I read said that it was placed on that part of the cliff to keep it out of the sun.
Oh.
So it's my AOL, it's my assumption that it's on the north side of a cliff.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that clarification. I can simply Google it later and locate the town that it's in and see how well I did as far as the region goes. I'm always, whenever I do regions, I try to do it in relation to something. Like, for instance, on this one, I said southern in relation to the larger area, which would have been China. I guess the Mayan, Spanish, Aztec thing, I think what it was, my subconscious was trying to tell me on this was that it was old and that there was a close relationship between the people and the man-made itself. And it's a great target, by the way, as always. This one's really cool. Thanks.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. All right, let's see who's up. Let me I'm going to take Bob's down. Linda's was right here, and I see Catherine's here, and I am trying to remember.
By the way, just an aside here.
Yeah.
Many of the Toltecs did have Oriental features back way back, you know, in pre-Columbian times and all, and in Columbian times. And here's an odd little trivia for you. The pure Mongolian language is 16% Mayan. So there were influences. I'm not waffling for you for the, you know, the Mexican and Aztec and all that, but that's just a little bit of trivia there, and I doubt it's important to this target, but who knows? I wouldn't know.
Yeah, we have way too many cultures showing up across the globe, you know, that we can't explain. How did these people get to know each other when they only had rowboats? Makes no sense.
Yeah, there are over 7,000 separate languages.
Yeah. So you know, let's just say we consider it all, but don't blow it off, because that's when it's going to turn around and bite you. Okay. Now, here is Linda's summary, and all right, so the target seems to be a construction involving water, lots of it, in a warm, humid landscape, plenty of vegetation too. Seems to be movement of this water, lots of energetics, and a burnt, sooty smell and taste. There's fall, looks like scud, and smokiness. The water does not taste salty to me. The land seems to have flat spaces and ridges. Part of the construction seems like a tank. There is also a cross-hatching, like pipes. There may be drilling tunnels, concrete on stone steps on an old site, like an old temple used to be there. Well, how about an old temple is still there? There may be an old well nearby in a wooden shed. There seems to be a sloping area where water carries off debris. In the grayish mud deep in, there is a death smell with the charcoal smell. This feels like a historic site. It feels very wet to me, AOL oil rig, but I get no oily smell or salty taste. It is more the feel of a community project with hope and effort. Reclamation or recycling, or a unique bucket brigade to fight fire, to irrigate fields. And so here she's comprised in her summary a lot of the perceptions that we see here. And washing down, whirling, smoky. Let's see, I'm looking at this little sketch here.
I like that wall of stones, brick cement from above.
I'm trying to find out, where did you see that?
That note right beside that sketch.
Oh, like a wall of stones. I'm like, where in the world? Okay, gotcha. Big leaves.
By the way, if you look at the temple, you'll see that in order to build those buildings, they not only put up those rickety old poles, but they actually built stone walls to the side of the cliff.
Small open structure in the area, old well or shed. I like her. She's picking up a lot of smells here. You just talked to us about that. Oh, check out this short, grayish, tattooed man wearing some ornaments. He's looking a little Aztec-y, Mayan-y to me with that little headgear on, but that's just me. And possibly, look at this sketch with the crisscrosses. some kind of cross-hatching. Now she's labeling, throwing a noun in there, pipes and container. Descriptors describing the pipe like, or what the container shape is or does or what have you, rather than labeling it a container. And this is cool. Grasses, weeds, perspective from the ground, bug's eye view. Something looks like a big bug. She's got those bugs going. Go ahead.
So that working together for the good of all. I think this is the only temple in China that was used by 3 different religions.
She's getting a lot of concepts. Oh, darn, I can't flip this sketch. It's not in a PDF. Sorry. As we all tip our heads. Look weird on camera. Except you're not on camera. Okay, so there she's working some S4s. All right, and there she's given herself a move command. Move an appropriate distance in front of the man-made and describe. Getting the pipe-like structure in the humid. And then she pretty much wraps up her session. Okay, where is she? She's here. Linda, here you go. Do you have any questions or comments or anything?
Yes, I felt really good about this site, like a community project with hope and effort, but there was a lot of sooty smell. I think I tuned into the dam and water. There was a lot about water and tunnels. I did AOL modified temple site on the ridge on that page 2, and religious feelings and traditional.
You have Thailand there also.
Yeah. It seemed like there may have been, well, I just kind of picked up that there was one, it may have been a brief period where there was a cult that had some kind of sacrifice. And that was the death smell in the clay. It was like clay down there. Now, I didn't pick up any animals, Lynn. I think I would have just taken that for granted in the temple.
Yeah, probably so.
But I really think I really tuned into a lot of, like, a water project. Where
yeah, but this AOL of modified temple site on a ridge, you just named the target with your AOL. But the information you've gotten here is really on target, and the smells. You'll have to go read some of the travel sites and tourist bus sites, that will take you on these guided tours. But some of them describe the interiors of these rooms, and especially the caves that are back, dug back into the cliffside, as smoky, dirty, 1,500 years of human smell and and smoke candles and soot and everything else. And so from everything I read, if you want to see the beauty of this thing, you don't climb up into it.
The smoky and sooty was really predominant to me. And I wondered if there had been a fire, which is why I thought of a bucket brigade.
I think candles.
And maybe incense and the winter. It looks like it's cold there in the winter.
Oh, yeah. And I'm sure they burn wood fires and so forth.
But my last AI was admiration and interest. And I don't know if there was like any project for water or irrigation.
Evidently, even still, the monks carry water up that cliffside for their use. There's still monks living there, you know, and so it's actually their home. But I was wondering if there was any kind of a catch system on top of the cliff that would bring water down, and I didn't find anything to that, anything that mentioned anything about that. So I think even still, the monks go down to the river to get water and bring it back up. Looks like they would also find some way to catch rainwater or something, but I couldn't find anything else about it. I do sometimes 4 and 5 hours and more in research on each one of these targets, and so, you know, but there's always some question like that. Where do they get their water from? That you just can't get from Google or any other source like that.
Yeah, I don't know why I focused so much on water, but I just felt so much water around me.
Well, there was a lot of water there. It was frozen at the moment, but...
Well, not probably at the moment, but...
at the moment of the feedback, which was present time in that picture.
Yeah, well, there are pictures all the way through that feedback of different times of the year, too. So there are times when it's not frozen and all.
Yeah, the time that I seem to resonate to was the summer picture with all the water there.
Yeah, I just wonder what would happen if that dam were to break. The size of that, you know. The dam is there for regulating the water level, but if that dam were to break, I just wonder how many miles downriver everything would be washed away, because that's a huge dam.
I'm going to need to, well, first, I would like to take a moment. We're at 9:23. We have Jen's session to look at. And I need to talk and make sure, I don't think Catherine, did you send in a session?
Okay, are you there?
Yeah, I am.
I didn't. I did it today, but I'm still on techie trouble.
Okay, just double checking to make sure I didn't miss it, because...
Thank you.
I'm sorry. And I'm sorry, Linda, thank you for your session and being able to and willing to talk to us about it. So, okay. Catherine, I got your emails earlier this week, so glad to see you here tonight. I really am. There are lots of you, you know, I don't share what's going on. Lots of you are busy. Lots of you have private concerns and stuff going on behind the scenes. For you to even be able to find the time to do a session or join us on Wednesdays is sometimes people think, oh, sure, just drop in. It's not necessarily so easy to make the time. So anyway, I need to take my computer off desktop for just from my screen a moment because I need to get into my private email because Jay sent a session and I can't expose. That's why I use the email either unless Jay sent it to the Dropbox. My bad. I should have checked there first. Let me just double check.
No, I didn't. I sent to the email only.
Okay. That email, Jay, is my private one. So if we're going to do webinars, I can't expose that. So that's why we use the one that gets posted. It's okay. It gets posted when I send out the announcements and stuff for the target. So don't worry about it. But there's a special one for webinar targets, and I even made a Dropbox thing too. But that's okay. You're just starting and can't get all this stuff at once. It's all right. So just a second while I pull up my Teresa L. Frisch email.
You've got mail.
I've got mail. It just said so. Okay, and let me see. Here's one with an attachment. And it's downloading. Ready to open up. Okay, now I'll make that email go away and we'll get back on it. Okay, sharing again. About 5 bazillion files open at this point. I don't want that one. Now Jay's is downloaded, but where did it go? Great. It's in my big files. Okay, it's back. So, and I should bring participants back up in case somebody raises their hand or something. Just every now and then. Okay. Here's Jay's session, and Jay's only worked with about 5 or 6 targets as well, and learning to work with structure as well as remote view. So he has his target or his summary first. The man-made one is heavy, robust, dense, metallic painted. It's colored gray, dab finishing. Water, uncertain, is conveys impression of soft moving with intensity being in transit, being peaked. Blendedness, moving from. Solid forms, shapes, and objects, many things. Confusion, nothing is clear. Oh, biological one conveys impressions of. We'll work on the verbiage here. Biological one has aspects of. Anyway, we'll work on this. I have to stop a minute. What I'm looking at right here, earlier in the week, I was ready to pull my hair out. And Jay knows it because he's studying and he's just like anybody studying. He's got a notebook going, he's making his own notes, and he's including his study habits in his session to the point that it works for him. He knows what he's studying, what he wants to remember and pull in, but I'm trying to pull all this together into a session, and I'm like, no, you cannot change the program to meet your needs how you want. You have to learn the way the program is laid out. This is a huge about face right here. And he's like, okay, got it. Okay, got it. So this is huge. I can actually make sense of this. So biological one conveys impression of bubbly, spongy, containing incomplete concentric circular shapes, cat-like silhouette. You know, for 5th or 6th session, there's a lot of information here. Man-made 2 is oscillating. It moves back and forth, possibly similar to a pendulum. Shaky, string-like, possibly patterned in a way that evokes a brick wall with white fillings, colored white. The land is dense, smooth, ferrous, means it made of iron. Grainy, fragmented, rocky, irregular, elevated, colored blue and dark. Vividness, attentiveness, being okay and settling. And that is, I don't know if that's other things I found at the site or if that pertains to the land, but contains elements that look like 2 parallel rays. Projectile emanations move upward, up and down simultaneously, like one part goes up while the other goes down at the same time. Move all the time. Contains elements that are round and circular, are striated, have a rectangular cross-section from the viewer's viewpoint, with the longer side in the horizontal, standing on base, so it has a rectangular cross-section. That's pretty in-depth. The energy motion conveys impressions of expansive, mildly explosive. Motion. Motion is what you're addressing. So when you say moving upward under the motion, you could move that over to the left, or you indent it if it goes with the perception that you indented right before it. If it just goes with the motion, you don't have to say motion again. I'm using my hands as I talk here. You can just say move it back over to the left and moving upward. And we won't spend a whole big dissertation on writing summaries at the moment, since this is about your second one. Gold star, by the way. Man-made 3 is moving up and down in a strange fashion, radially shaped or involves convergence to a center from multiple directions. You know, Lynn, this might be the one student that if you ask them to describe a circus tent top, they might get the paraboloidal hyperbolic planes, however that goes.
Hyperbolic, paraboloid, yeah.
He might be your one student that could do it.
I'm very impressed with the English here.
Yeah. Shaped like a parallel pipe and a cylinder at the same time. Man-made 4 is metallic, shiny, linear, sleek, mildly curved, long, large. Biological 2 is moving and shaking. Containing a shape that looks like a large animal, first bear, then cattle, then moose. Man-made 5 is calm, stable, earth-like, brick-like, ceramic-like. I know somebody that's been studying Bob Favreau's session. Good job, both of you. The student has now become the teacher. Overall, the target features a big expanding ball-like shape, 2 ball shapes, something resembling a roof, sun-like radiating object, like a half circle or half sphere, represented as emanating rays. So now that sounds Mayan or Aztec to me. An apparently plain surface by a ridged wall resembling a crater. This features large walls on both sides. Seems to have something containing rounded contours laying on the plain area. Seems to have something with round contours above the plain area. An oval shape with the overall proportions of a rugby ball oriented vertically along its long axis, resting on top of some object that has an overall appearance of a circus dome. Geez, what did we just say? Did we put that into the feedback? Something that resembles some fluid moving around a fixed object, which seems to be conic, triangular, elevated. People are possibly entering or boarding a man-made, possibly climbing a ramp or a stair. I think this guy's a remote viewer. Maybe he's psychic, too. A circular shape, yeah, I think there's a great possibility of that. A circular shape that contains brown, black, stained, greasy sulfur acid. Oh, there's those stinky smells again. Biological, it appears to be quadruple, horse-like animal, I hiccuped. Target appears to include a discriminating activity or be discriminating in nature, convey an overall feeling of neutrality. No specific purpose was associated to the target. And outstanding summary, Jay. Whatever you sent me like 3 days ago, 5 days ago, totally and completely turned it around. Are you getting any sleep? Because I know what you have to do commute-wise to and from your job every day. You have your job, your family. You are finding some time to study. All right, look at this admin section. POCDs are, set-asides are matching the POCDs. I think somebody's got it.
This is impressive.
Yeah, this guy's been burning the midnight oil. Also burning a fair amount of telecommunication time with emails and questions. He's been studying.
Good.
All right. Good, IAB. Let me just see how many pages we have here, and then I would like to address a couple of things. We still have Jenny's session. She's not here, she's sick, but it's 9:36, and so I did have a talk with Jay about working the same target. I mean, he's only into this like 5 sessions. He doesn't have a lot of time. I said, I really don't want you working the same target at this point for 2 weeks. I want you to work sessions, get them done, get the feedback, and see how well you did, and get that positive reinforcement loop going. So we've been working on fine-tuning that a little bit. Because, I mean, he's learned so much from hanging out with older viewers, more experienced viewers, and, you know, he's just trying out several different tools and approaches. I'm like, right now, I need to get you to look at feedback. So work some P1 through P3s. So now looks like we've got a lot of, I got away from scrolling, my bad. All right, moved into, yes, we had a little chat about why he thought taking coordinates one time with 3 gestalts, it was going to take him 3 hours to work that, just to get his IAB sequence. I'm like, no. I want you to get site contact. I want you to burn a path to the target. I don't care how many gestalts you get with your coordinates. I want you to take coordinates at least 3 times as a beginner, 3 to 5. And get a good foundation built, and then move into P2. Okay, now P2. Jay, when you say the target has aspects of right here, when you go to P2, you're immediately supposed to do right here where you have man-made 1. That's where P2 starts. You don't, I mean, I really don't want to talk about interim summaries, Lynn. I know maybe I'm psychic, but I bet that's what you're thinking. I really don't want him to learn to make any extra synopsis or anything. I want him to just do straight up P2, gestalt, man-made in parenthesis. Because he's already doing his own little thing here with study habits, and I'm trying to not let that get into a big issue.
Right. Interim summaries are always permitted throughout the session, even in the middle of a stage or something like that. Mm-hmm. The danger is that a beginning viewer, when you start putting these things down, it will drive you to try to identify what you're viewing. And so for beginning viewers, we tend to say, you know, don't do the interim summaries. Once you get more advanced and you get sort of immune to those tendencies, yeah, the interim summary can happen any time during the session. But for beginning viewers, we try not to let you fall into traps.
And already in the last week, every email I got, I really had to pretty much throw down some stop sticks, because you could tell he was studying hard, incorporating the manual, but he was developing his own way of doing things. And I'm like, I need to stop this now. And so you need to pay attention to how the course flows, and anything that you have to learn, like your notes and things, keep a separate notebook. I mean, most everybody who comes here has told me over, time that they're sitting there with a notebook the whole time we're doing this tonight. You don't have to, but a lot of people do. So anyway, let me just scroll a little bit here. Oh, that's funny. Oh, my phone decided that I was talking, so it was going to talk back. And it said noted. I have no idea how I can retrieve that, but I'd like to see what I said.
It was the KGB listening in.
Yeah. Okay. And May 4, nice job on the cues and the parentheses. I'm trying to, this little thing that looks like a D. Oh, it must be distractor. Gospel song. Okay. I'm just looking at the way he's making notes here. And
may I add some comments?
Can you give me just a second till we get to the end, and then we can have all kinds of comments. Please. Here we took a break and came back. Good, you got admin section again, which you don't have to do that, but if it's helpful, please do. All right, now we did have a discussion about how he's just learning to view. And, when I first monitored him, his very first session ever, he didn't have an AI that we could see. And I said to him, can you sketch it? And so we're still practicing. It's his 5th or 6th session. So finding his AI isn't totally clear. But he has been sketching every little nuance all the time. And I'm trying to get him to not give into that. It's like me and a package of M&Ms, actually. You can't just eat one. And you start doing all those little sketches, and I'm afraid that he's like giving into that fast food craving, and it's detracting from his sub's ability to stay focused, getting to the AI, because he's scratching that itch. He's sketching early all over the place and feeding into that instead of, you never ever, all of you, you never ever ignore anything. You never ever write it down. Don't write it down. And you know that. You've heard us say it a million times. But if he's paying attention to the early sketches, instead of training his sub to get to that AI, to get to the big P3 sketch, I'm afraid that, that's something I want him to be working on. So as we scroll down through this.
Yeah, surprisingly, Ingo encouraged this. However, what he encouraged was not that you get an impression and then do a sketch. What he encouraged was letting the sketch happen, then tapping, touching the sketch, and getting impressions from it. So there's a difference there. But the sketching is something that Ingo encouraged strongly, if done correctly. The impressions come from the sketches. The sketches are not the result of an impression.
Okay, I just wanted to get a look at your whole session, Jay. And it is 9:44, and we still have to look at Jenny's. But okay, go ahead and comment and question and go for it. It's yours.
Hi everybody. It's very fast. After this target, I made other 2 or 3, and my subconscious is learning progressively. I could see that there are less sketches in P2 and P1 and more descriptors instead. So I believe my subconscious mind is learning to start putting out the sketches in P3. So yeah, I think there's a progression over there. Well, that's all for now. Thank you very much.
You can talk more. It's okay.
Yeah.
This is the man who emails me and goes, I'll try very quiet. I'll try very hard to be quiet, and I won't ask too many questions. And it's
Yeah.
I'm like, no, it's okay, Jay. You can ask questions. It's all right.
Do not try to be very quiet and not ask questions. That's what this is all about.
He was just meaning he didn't want to ask more questions and take up more time than everybody else. I knew where his heart was.
I just had one comment that might be instructive here. His thing about hearing gospel tunes.
Mm-hmm.
Many times the subconscious mind will give you things symbolically. And, if you had said, I keep hearing music, that would be one thing. But you label it as gospel. And your mind may have been telling you that this is a religious site and doing it with the only religious reference that it had at the moment. And so as you advance into a more advanced viewer, you will find that there are symbolic things that will happen. Right now, just set them aside exactly like you did. You did perfectly the right thing to do. But be aware that at some point your subconscious mind is going to start talking to you symbolically, and you will learn through experience, not through training, but through experience, how to pick up on these cues from your subconscious mind and find out more things about the site. So that was a beautiful AOL, and it was done correctly by putting it aside. But be aware that that's going to happen as you advance.
Okay,
now,
thank you.
Here, okay, let me just grab, I'm just scrolling randomly down through this. Here, you wrote a PD, a physical distractor of your left foot shaky impatiently. And then you have dense, vivid, after attention, something.
Attentive.
Attentive, thank you. Smooth and okay. Those are perceptions, and you're in your IAB sequence. And so that's a whole bunch of stuff right there that you could...
Actually, this is a physical distractor.
But that's what he wrote, and it's under there. So I'm trying to figure out from him, what about his left foot shaking is dense, vivid, attentive, smooth, and okay?
I wouldn't read too much into that as a stage one. Stage one is all physical. And so this does have a lot of, this does have some kind of a meaning to the site.
Leonard.
But as far as labeling is concerned, he did a good thing here.
Leonard, I was trying to ask the viewer what that meant.
Yeah, and at this stage, you may not know.
Well, what I had at the moment, I just noticed that I was possibly just impatient, and after that, supposedly disconnected from the perception of what I put within parentheses.
Mm-hmm.
I went back to the ideogram and poked it and got those impressions of being dense, vivid, and the word attentive and okay, everything's okay, came to my mind.
If those are impressions of the site, then absolutely they shouldn't be under the PD, physical distractor. Good catch, Teresa.
Thank you. I like he says he poked his gestalt. He poked his ideogram. I like that. He poked it.
I'm not a native English speaker. Please tell me what's the right word, and I'll.
Oh, no. It's no big deal. You touched it. It doesn't matter. It's the same thing. You touched it and got perceptions. I just like that because it has a flavor to it, you know? It's good. All right. All kinds of little sketches in here. Okay. Certainly is a whole different session than what I saw from you a week ago, or maybe a week and a half ago. Okay. Do you have any questions, things that you need clarification on at this point?
No, not at this point. I wrote down my questions. I'll ask you by email later on because it will take long, and I don't want to take long here.
Oh, we have. Oh, actually, we only have one, and she's not here. It's okay.
All right, I have one big question.
Okay, go.
Well, I'm in any phase, one or two. Then an image pops up in my brain, in my mind. So I draw it on the left side. Now, it's not a straight cat, necessarily. It's out of order, out of structure. But if I consider that image to be a stray cat, oh, this is possibly a stray cat, or should I draw the sketch in the left side of the paper or the right side of the paper? Because if I in advance I think, oh, this is a stray cat I just saw. So being a stray cat, it should be on the right side. But if it's a sketch, not a descriptor, not a word, should I draw the sketch on the right side or draw it always on the left side?
Generally, sketches are done about the middle of the page. However, your question, the proper answer is the left side because it's right brain activity, and so it would go on the left side of the page. You're doing it right.
Okay. All right, thank you.
I would encourage you, as he said at first, and I understand exactly what he said with the proper answer, and that was a great question. But like Terry, who's not here tonight, her sketches, she tends to enlarge them. If I were you, I'd start sketching in the center of the paper. Give yourself plenty of room. And that way, if you need to enlarge it, so it might be a small thing, like, I don't know, whatever this shape is that's pointed and got the 3 lines under it, you might like touch around that and think, oh, well, it's got a little something here and you want to draw it. And this little something down here and you want to draw it. If you're in the center of the paper, you have a lot more room to work on your sketches, and if they need to have detail added, or remember if they're not the way you think they should be, you make a simple X, and then you redo your sketch below with what you feel the way it should be intuitively, and enlarge it or do what you need to do, but you never obliterate it. But if you're in the center of the paper, you're going to have a lot more room to work.
That's right. And one of the things you have to realize is that the sketch is actually a 2-dimensional ideogram. And you can touch it, you can tap, you can poke it, and things like that, and get impressions. If it's in the middle of the page, then you have the left-hand column, you know, to write things down. And also, once you get to this point where you're doing these sketches like this, if it's treated like an ideogram, the entire page becomes a part of that ideogram, believe it or not. Even up in your text that you've been writing, you can touch up there and find out what's above this sketch. You can touch down at the bottom of the page, find out what's below this sketch and everything else. And so anytime you start sketching like this, it is a 2-dimensional ideogram, which actually encompasses the entire page. So like on this right here, the way you're doing it, you may want to do like Teresa says, put it in the middle of the page, and even, you know, though you have writing on the page, and then even if you get another visual that you want to do a sketch, go to the next page and give yourself room. You'll be killing a forest full of trees, but that's what remote viewers do, to get enough paper. But each one of these sketches is a window into the target. And I like this with the people climbing the stairs up on the, yeah, that's neat. Anyway, yeah, you may want to enlarge it, like Teresa says, and give yourself room, and don't be afraid to waste paper.
Okay.
Beautiful AOL. People boarding a ship. Okay, I was just reading your notes. Now see, each of you have worked the same target, gotten totally different perceptions. A couple of people, were getting damn and a few things like that. But we're learning from each other. And this was a great evening with different sessions to look at. Thank you, everybody, for sending them. And be willing to talk about them instead of just sitting there quietly and letting us talk around you. Then we have Jenny's, and she's in Nova Scotia and emailed that she's not feeling well. And let's see. And she just moved into intermediate and is learning to work with that. She's been having scanner trouble too. So I'm trying to scroll here. Some days I'm just grateful that we have sessions coming through. She's doing really well with dropping down the page and not smashing everything on top of each other. AI is on the wrong side. AI is supposed to go on the right. And evidently, I must be jiggling things or something. Okay. I'm just thinking that eventually we're going to get to her summary. And there we are. I'll make comments on this and send it back to her now that we have the feedback where we could see it. Okay, and she's moving across the columns. And she just had a book published. So I've had to work with her on how to write summaries because she was giving this whole novel in a summary in sentence form, instead of breaking out aspects. She must have sent that summary separately, or maybe she didn't get it finished. Okay, maybe it was at the beginning and oh, there we go. That's me and WebEx. And Linda is thanking us, by the way, for having these sessions. I always learn something new, like probing sketches, but I don't see a lot. I don't either. I only hear and feel sense of touch or just know something sometimes, but I don't often get images. I empathize. Okay. Target has aspects of man-made. One, good. So she's starting to, it's very good. This is a turnaround for her as well. Because probably 3 or 4 summaries, and now she's getting it. Having a little trouble with maybe the size of this thing, so I can read it. All right, so the target has aspects of man-made 1, 2, 3, 4, biological 1, 2, 3, energy, motion, land 1 and 2. Man-made 1 had aspects of leather, smell, gritty, leveled, sloping, uneven texture like pebbling, angles, and sloped, peaked, rough gray with darker shades, squeaking, and smelled hot and sweaty. The energy motion gestalt contained aspects of movement, vertical, horizontal, angle, stepping manual, laborious, thin, dry, sweeping from ground level up and outward, elongated, smooth with a multiple pattern. The AI seemed adventurous, and I feel determined. Nice AI. And again, she has struggled with the AI too, so this is really a turnaround for her. I'm impressed.
Just about everyone does.
Yeah. Land gestalt has aspects of rising, variegated, gray, choppy with section of land which was confined. Man-made 3 had aspects of long, cylindrical, implanted silver, mechanical, age going out. Note the man-mades were done out of order. They were aspects of the P3 drawing. We need to work on that. I keep trying to get her, and this is an improvement. Used to be her first summaries, and I compliment her on this progress all the time, because she would have man-mades at the top of the page and then a whole bunch of stuff, and then man-made at the second part of the page. And so we're finally getting to man-made 1, 2, and 3 and addressing the aspects that go with each one. So now I need to, and Jay was mixing P1 and P2 perceptions, but telling me this happened in P1 and this happened in P2. So with Jen, she's breaking out aspects of the P3 drawing, and you know, I'm trying to get her to learn this is what you were viewing at this time, and these are the perceptions that go with that. So we're making progress. The purpose is going out, searching, and bringing in, and biological 1 had aspects of blue, loose, covered, billowy, flapping, couple, interacting, mild work ambiance, focus but with a playful aspect, neat, skilled behind the scenes, obscure, unfamiliar, they are unfamiliar, rather looking at something else, uncomfortable, procrastinating, flapping, flexible, thin, movement-like, almost like Tai Chi or other martial art. Oh, there's a little cultural reference. Man-made 2 had aspects of grid pattern, cone-shaped, under, interred, rising squares, silver, confined, small circular squares, deep, basic use for a boost, cutting in and deepening. It had aspects of mapping, flat segmented, partitioned in pieces, static, reference point, size is symbolic, lines, squares, rectangles, triangles, symmetric. I feel more oriented, safe, helpful, tool, knowledgeable, integrated to purpose, and to orient to form, a frame of reference to prevent loss. A lot of conceptuals in there. Honing, narrowing, guiding, and guidance. It had aspects of visual, multisensory, narrows choices like a funnel, wide to narrow, big area to small, a lot of relationships going. It had aspects of enlightening in a visual, not esoteric sense, highlights best choices, darkens less desirable choices, drawing, pulling, and bringing in. Biological 2 had aspects of shy, reserved, articulate but quiet, feels straightforward, manipulating, carrying, holding upper body. And Land 2 had aspects of level, lines, long, straight, uneven, gray, confined, squared, segmented, manicured, deliberate, empty, devoid of life, causing pressure on my head. The confined area had aspects of enclosed, secured metal, white, gray, and silver. Returning to target yielded aspects of broader, greater scope, part of whole, segments of whole. It is a part of something that is greater, something whole that is segmented. two-toned images, rich shades, poor colors. Man-made 4 yielded aspects of hard gray brown, big structural squared hard reddish brown, gritty, flat, old concept of horse and carriage, dusty, smelly like an uncleaned barn, ammonia, hard closed in with biologicals present. You know, when I read summaries like this, and I know people are just really not very far along in their training, and the amount of data that they get, I think to myself, what are they going to be like when I get them into post-advanced courses, you know? Not me instructing them, but, you know, if they're getting this amount of stuff now, and they're going to learn how to organize it and report it better in a professional format, I kind of get goosebumps.
We have definitely passed the 100th monkey syndrome.
Yeah.
What people don't realize is that the military that's viewed as so great and all that, it took us 6 months of practice to get to this point some days.
Yeah. Returning to target gave aspects of significant overtime, past and present, ageless or adapting to age, two-tone, remodeled, updated, and modernized, rebuilt dark cloth covering associated with biological, and appears to have 2 aspects of active action aspect, a little alliteration there, with adventurous ambiance of searching and bringing in passive aspects that has a studious, passive, observational ambiance. That's a mouthful. There are associated biological with each aspect, does not appear to be all human. There are more with the passive aspect of the target than active. You know, that is a ton of data. I don't know how many breaks she took, because she's been working on that, you know, take a couple of days off and work the same session. And, you know, I have yet to retask anybody this year. I should probably be using that as a goal for next year, is getting these folks to learn how to be retasked again, like we did with the last group.
Well, not just retasked, but, you know, let's say it's cold outside, you go in where it's warm.
Mm-hmm.
You've gotten used to it being cold outside, but the minute you go back out, it's cold again.
Mm-hmm.
And a remote viewing target's the same way. You take a break from it, you go back to it, and all of a sudden you're more sensitive to the things at the target. So breaks are one of the best tools you can have for a remote viewing session.
Let me just scroll back up to the top here. The Hanging Temple. Linda's asking, what is the website to read about this? If she just cues in the Hanging Temple of China, I would imagine that's probably, she wants to check out the farming area right around the temple if there is any.
Yeah, I just did a search on the Hanging Temple, and it's got, what you'll find is that it's got 4 or 5 different names, and then I started searching under each different name, and the information is, there's a lot of information on it, and there's only one of these temples that's known as the Hanging Temple. So
hopefully my computer won't lock up here. We'll give it a go. The Hanging Temple. Oh, there you go. Must be it. Yep, that's it. So right there, in 0.46 seconds, we have 159,000 results. I think you have enough reading material there. For just a little bit.
I gave up on about the 8th page.
You can also Google Earth it. I mean, if you really want to invest some time. So, you know, there is life beyond one target. It's unless you really, really, really have to do this, and sometimes you really, really, really have to. But otherwise, at some point you have to say session end, so you can work another target and learn some more. So anyway.
Yeah, at the bottom of the feedback on the feedback page, there's a lot of internet references that you can go to, and those are the ones I found most productive. And so the ones I find most productive, I put at the bottom of the feedback so that you can go there and find out more stuff.
Well, it really is hanging off the side of a mountain. Good grief. All right, everybody. Lynn, I'll go ahead and stop the recording here in a second. I need to talk to you about radio show maybe, if you have a minute, but I'm the learning afterwards. Yeah, Linda enjoys that very much, but these are all huge cultural learning experiences, all these targets. Thank you so much, Lynn, for doing this for us.
My pleasure. I just like to, I know there's so much bad stuff out there on the internet, and I just like to make sure that we kind of balance that with some good stuff every now and then. Yeah, I've seen so many people who think that remote viewing is just for viewing, you know, a pair of scissors or a pair of shoes, and that there are things all over the world that are really interesting, both to your conscious and your subconscious mind. And I'm trying to put those out there for everybody.
And you're doing a very good job. Here, I was getting some junk put into our feedback, which I don't really necessarily want. But it looked like that one photo was possibly some farming area. Jay says, a class that teaches me to be humble, seeing all the beautiful sessions of my fellow classmates. Thank you, Jay and Linda, for those comments.
You all are doing some good work.
I think all of you have those same comments in your hearts and in your minds as well. But, okay, I am going to, thanks everybody for coming. We'll have another target in a month. It was chosen at the first of the year, but it has not been made public. Lynn's working up the tasking and assembling it. It will be available the day of the webinar for everybody to see when he gets time that day. But at this moment, it's under wraps. Nobody knows what it is, and you can start working at any time. However, my newest students, I would advise that you do not. You need to work some targets from Lynn's pool and keep working targets that you can get feedback on, that you can send to me, and I can comment on your structure and stuff. So I really want you to do that before the webinar targets, please.
Yeah, and between now and next month's webinar, I'll be putting up a target each week. And so, you know, there's plenty of stuff, plenty of new stuff for you there to view. Lots of things to learn.
Yes, there are. I think that's about it. If any of you are wanting, I could have announced this last month.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
10836.
Oh.
That's supposed to be 26. I will change that. Yeah.
August all of a sudden has 36 days in it.
Hey, it's been a long month, you know.
And amazing, there are folks who still got the target. There's a little lesson right there.
Yeah, well, you gave them the thing, and this is supposed to be, I think each one of these pictures has the correct number on it. I just got that. If you hold your cursor over a picture, it should come up with the, no, it doesn't come up with a caption for it. Anyway, it's got the right number on it.
Well, anyway. All right, so if any of you are in the neighborhood of Grand Rapids, Michigan on October 9th and 10th, I'll be exhibiting, meaning I have a table, 2 tables with CRV stuff, and it will be to a neuroscientist community, but you can get a discounted rate by maybe $50 if you would want to go to see this conference. It's 2 days. But into the conference, you get a discount if you say that you are a representative of Aesthetic Impact. So if any of you students are in the neighborhood, I don't expect you Brazilian fellows to head up for that. But anyway, anybody who wants to go to that conference, I think you get a $25 or $50 discount. It's not much, but you'd be part of the company for that. Not an employee, I shouldn't say that, but anyway. You would be a representative of Aesthetic Impact. So that's coming up. There's a big conference in Columbus, Ohio in September, which I can't believe it's the end of August already. So I'll be at that one again. And I appreciate you all working your sessions and sending them in, because if I'm going to start school in January or February, it is imperative that I get you launched, as I call it, and get you so that you can start viewing and sending in sessions and stuff and getting your structure down before I start school. So if everybody works targets the way, as much as you can, without killing yourselves, we should be able to do that by the end of the year, and everybody should be pretty comfortable with viewing in structure in whatever stage you're in, because anybody who's in basic right now and is working sessions will be moved into intermediate long before the first of the year with any effort at all. So it should be just fine. So I'm just telling you, though, when I start school, which I am really making moves to do that, we're going to have this down like a well-oiled machine. Because they say, the people who are in school and work, they say it's very busy. And as long as I have it organized, it should be okay. But I am just letting you know. So with that, good night. Thanks, everybody, for coming. I really appreciate all of you. Lynn, thanks again for being here with us. And see you next month.
See you then. Thank you.
Thank you all.